Today we're going to look at taking apart part of a matchless spinning wheel. This is the rear bearing housing that we're looking at here, and there are a number of reasons that you could want to get this rear bearing housing back out of here again. Sometimes you need to replace the bearing in the front, sometimes you need to replace the tension knob, sometimes you need to replace this funny little bit that's in the back of the bearing housing. But first you got to get this guy out. So this is what we're going to talk about. The first thing to do is to unscrew this all the way out. And you'll notice this goes up and down. It's not fastened at the bottom. So I can hold the bearing housing and just crank this puppy right on out of there. Up we go. It's a very, very long threaded knob, and I will eventually get it out. We'll cut away for just a second and then come back on again when I'm closer to the end of it. But you just keep unscrewing and unscrewing and unscrewing and unscrewing. You'll notice I've taken the flyer out because, of course, we don't want to have anything crashing to the floor like the flyer or the bobbin or anything else. But this takes out the rear bearing housing. By the way, if this ever breaks, this is also a replaceable part. And there, that's out. So we'll put that down. And now we can take out this bearing housing, very carefully hanging onto this part, which is spring-loaded. And we can take this part out. And there's the spring in the end of it. So if this ever needs to be replaced, or the spring needs to be replaced, or anything else, that's how you get that part out. And then you just put this back into place. Its only function is to keep this bearing housing from rattling around when you pick up or move the wheel. In terms of the use of the spinning wheel, it really doesn't do anything. It just keeps this bearing housing from rattling inside the two legs here. Now the other thing that this bearing housing does is it holds the bearing. And sometimes after a lot of use, many thousands of hours of use, this bearing can be not quite so good as it used to be. And then you'll have to pry this out and replace it. It's a replaceable part. We've got the catalog number for it. So in the unlikely event that you have to replace this, that's a removable part. This is a removable part, but again, this just keeps the thing from rattling around. So once you put this back in, or put its spring back in, as I said, there's a little spring in there. And then you put this back into the space and crank that threaded tension rod back in again. And that's how you take out the rear bearing housing in a matchless wheel.